Hey everyone, Chrissi here. You'll learn more about me once we get into the actual episode, but I wanted to come in at the top of the show just to do a little bit of housekeeping that we forgot to do in the actual episode, or we couldn't for whatever reason. This is a paranormal podcast, so of course we are going to be talking about death and ghosts and how they relate to each other. I'm making it sound smarter than it actually is. So I just wanted to give you a bit of content warnings, a bit of a fair heads up. This week's episode involves talks of murder, poisoning, stabbing, illness, shooting, drowning, and mild mentions of workplace abuse. We don't get serious about it. It comes and it goes, but just to give you a heads up. I also wanted to give a huge thanks to Daniel Luke, who is the creator of the amazing intro music that you're about to hear. He is an amazing artist, animator, and musician. You can find his stuff at webbot15.com. That is webbot15.com. Definitely check him out. He's great. All right, so I'm going to let you get into it now. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Maritime Supernatural Podcast. I'm Chrissi.
I'm Jill.
And we are bringing you the spooks from the East Coast. We've got a couple stories for you here today. We're going to see how this goes.
We're a little bit nervous, so please be gentle.
Yeah, this is my first ever podcast, or like first time seriously recording my voice since college. Sorry if it's a little rocky, but it's the East Coast. There are rocks.
There are a lot of rocks. So maybe we should start just saying a little bit about who we are.
Yeah.
We met at animation school, so we're both animators by trade. I've kind of moved on to doing teaching and instructional design and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm still in the animation industry for now.
Yeah, so we're both fairly artistic and interested in ghosts and aliens and cryptids and anything kind of spooky, and we want to share that passion with the world.
With all of you.
All of you. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Okay, that's all. Bye, guys.
No, Chrissi, wait, we have to have a story.
Oh, right.
We forgot the story. We forgot the meat of the podcast.
I'm vegetarian. No, I'm not. Yeah, so, I can start with my story.
All right.
So this is from my home province of New Brunswick. It's actually pretty close to where we went to school in Miramichi. But this is the story of the Dungarvon Hooper.
Oh. Dungarvon?
Dungarvon Hooper.
Wow, okay.
From the Dungarvon River.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, the Hooper is, I say found in my notes, but it's more experienced because it's not something you can see.
Okay.
But it's experienced in the woods by the Dungarvon River between Blackville and Plaster Rock, New Brunswick. The story goes that in the late 19th century, a young Irish cook named Ryan, it's never clear if it's his first name or the last name, he arrived in a logging camp in the middle of winter, carrying with him all of his worldly possessions, including this money belt that he had.
Okay.
For some reason, all of the tellings of this story are sure to mention how very handsome he is.
It's
Like this guy was a looker, I guess. Like, yeah, I don't know why it's so important for us to know how incredibly good looking he is.
Well, maybe so that we can imagine this like handsome fella getting spooked or whatever happens to him.
Oh, yeah, it's a murder. He gets murdered.
Oh.
Anyway.
Why would anyone murder someone so handsome?
But he's so handsome.
Oh, no. Okay.
So he was overall well liked, but he often bragged about how much money he had, which he was always carrying around in a money belt he had strapped to his waist.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, seriously. So Ryan was also known for his loud whoops and hollers, which he would use to wake up the other loggers for breakfast and call them back for meal times.
Okay, so I'm just picturing this super handsome guy. He's got his fanny pack on. It's jingling with change. And he goes whooping around, yelling at everyone to get up. He sounds like a bit of a fool to me.
Yeah, but apparently, like his hoops and hollers were actually like really beneficial because it kept people like, you know, all on the same page as to when meal times were and when break times were, and like you could hear it like all through the camp.
So he was kind of like a cock.
Yeah.
Or rooster.
Yes, that kind of cock.
Yeah.
The boss of the camp, who remains unnamed in all of the stories but is respected and unquestioned, stays behind one day, and once he and Ryan are alone in the camp, the boss murders the cook and steals his money belt. When the other loggers return, he explains that the cook had fallen ill and died suddenly and instructs the workers to bury him in the ground by the river.
Okay, wait, did it say how he murdered him?
It's unclear.
It's like he stabbed him to death, and then he's like, oh, he fell ill.
Oh, he's so sick.
He was so ill. Can you guys bury this for me? Yeah, no, it was the cold. It was a really bad cold. Ignore the blood.
It was so, yeah. I had to try to stab the poison out, or the illness out. Sorry, not poison. There's no poison.
That is the best way to cure poison, isn't it? Just stab out the poison. Just get it right out of there.
If you have fluid in your lungs, you have to get it out somehow.
Yeah. It's
right?
Like if you have a splinter, you dig it out. If you have a poison, you stab it out.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I learned in medical school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unclear how he killed him. There is a play that is put on in New Brunswick. I forget by what play group, but they imply that he was poisoned, and they don't outright say it was the boss. And none of these stories like specifically say it was the boss, but you can tell by the way that they're writing that it's like, nah, dudes, it was the boss. It was the logging boss that did this.
Yeah, they're pointing fingers.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to bury him by the river because it's the middle of winter, and you know, this is the late 19th century. They can't easily get back to town. So they're like, it's either we, you know, sit here with a rotting corpse in camp for 3 more months, or, you know, we bury him and tell his family when we get back.
Yeah. I mean, you never realize how awful it is sitting next to a rotting corpse until you have to do it yourself. And I think
tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that night after burying him, hooping and hollering, sounding like a terrible version of Ryan's, keeps the men up all night terrified. They tried to work the next day, but the sounds continued, driving all of the workers to flee the area. It is unsure what the origins of the story are, but it's been taken seriously enough by locals that at the beginning of the 20th century, Roman Catholic priest Reverend Edward Murdoch was asked to come in and exorcise the area where it said Ryan was buried. Some say he was successful, but others insist that the noises continue to this day, albeit less frequently.
Huh.
Yeah. So the best known version of this story comes from a song poem written by Michael Whelan in published in a, quote, local newspaper in 1912. I could not find what this local newspaper was called.
Okay.
Like all of the articles just said a local newspaper.
Maybe that was the name of the newspaper.
Oh yeah, maybe. The Black River local newspaper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here in the early 2000s, the story was written as a play by Bernie Colpaul. Oh wow, I'm so sorry, Bernie. For the Heritage Players Theatre Company. This version appears to take many liberations with the retelling, giving the cook the name Peter Ryan, having extra character, the self-professed best fiddler in the country, come in and blatantly showing the boss poisoning Ryan's drink during the party that breaks out from the newcomer's mad fiddling skills.
Poison would be much more subtle to claim it was an illness than stabbing.
Yeah, but also, why would this logging boss just have poison on him?
Well, you know, it could have been like rat poison or something.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's totally fair.
A lot of rats.
Yeah, there used to be a passenger train that would run from Newcastle to Fredericton along the Miramichi River, and the whistles reminded locals of the legend, so it was lovingly nicknamed the Dungarvon Hooper. Unfortunately, the train ceased operations in the 1960s.
When it got filled with ghosts.
So, hey, you know Ghost Train? Well, guess what? We got one.
Yeah.
In Blackville, New Brunswick, there's a chainsaw carved statue to commemorate the Hooper. Oh. The story was also featured in the third iteration of a stamp collection called My Haunted Canada, released by Canada Post in 2016.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. In a strange twist, the official story offered by MyNewBrunswick.ca places Ryan as the boss. He's still Irish and he's still handsome, who kills the young cook while out hunting one day. He takes him deep into the woods on a hunting trip, shoots him with a rifle, and then tells the others that they were attacked by a bear who dragged the cook off after knocking Ryan out. The workers are suspicious, but also terrified of the boss, so they don't question it. The story continues as all the others do, except that the workers try to deal with the hollering and screams for several weeks before giving up and leaving camp. They maintain that Reverend Murdoch came to bless and exorcise the area, though. Okay. So it's very important that we know that Reverend Murdoch came in and, like, he tried to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the... last point, this is the only version of the story I found that places Ryan as the boss, but it's also on the official New Brunswick webpage. So, like, I don't know... Yeah, I don't know where they're getting this story from, but it's literally the only version of this story I found.
That's so funny. So, yeah. Okay, so Ryan is the guy who got murdered in the other accounts, but then in the official one, Ryan is the murderer.
Yes.
Of someone else who was hooping and hollering.
Yes.
Okay. I think I'm on the same page now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's very weird that there's just this sudden twist of, like, wait, what do you mean? Like, where are you getting this from? And, like, I searched for other stories like that, but I couldn't find any.
That's so funny. It reminds me of how the Twilight series, they came out with a 10th anniversary story where they swapped genders of the main characters and maybe everybody. I don't know. I haven't read it.
Maybe this is just Twilight.
Yeah, it's like
maybe this is like New Brunswick Twilight.
It's the 100th anniversary of that character, so they swapped roles to make it more spicy and new and fresh.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and apparently this is not the only like hooper in the area. Like I guess Maine also has like their version. It's like a similar story, and it seems to originate with the Dungarvon hooper in New Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting story. I had never heard of such a thing before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if we should someday go there and see if we can call him
Summon
out.
the hooper.
Summon the hooper.
Whoop. Whoop. Yeah. Just get a bunch of loons coming in.
I don't know what a hoop sounds like. I just...
Yeah, see, like, thinking about this story, it's like, well, this obviously can't just be like wildlife, right? Because they would know if it's wildlife.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any mysterious, like, undiscovered birds in New Brunswick. I'm not saying it's impossible, but...
like, obviously we wouldn't know if there was an undiscovered bird.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's called Ryan.
Ryan! And he's very handsome. He's a very handsome bird.
Wonderful plumage.
Incredible. Oh, gorgeous.
All right. Well, yeah. I think we've solved this one.
Yeah, it's a very handsome bird.
Named Ryan.
Named Ryan.
It's like, oh, there's a robin, and there's a, blue-crested featherbutt, and then there's Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah. I like it.
The New Brunswick Blue-Crested Featherbutt.
We just call him Ryan because he hoops all the time.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Okay.
What you got for me?
Okay. So my haunting story is more of a location. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone to the Fortress of Louisbourg?
I have not.
All right. So it is a historical site and tourist attraction in Cape Breton, in the town of Louisbourg, in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada, where I originate from. And in the 1960s, a bunch of historians or whoever, I don't know, decided that they should rebuild part of this old fortress. And they went in and they built up a few buildings. I think I should look it up, but there's at least 10 buildings rebuilt, and they've got like a bakery and the King's Bastion and a bunch of old houses that were like for the posh and the rich, and then they have like the pens up with actual animals in it and stuff like that. And they have reenactors. So they have all these actors who go around the fortress, and they're dressed up in period costume and acting as though they existed back in 1744. I actually got to do this for a couple of summers when I was little, and that was really fun. Yeah, it was really cool.
It reminds me of King's Landing out in New Brunswick. It's similar, where they have like houses from anywhere from the like early 1800s to the 1930s. And awesome. As you go through, you can go through the years, and there are people dressed up to match the years and stuff.
Oh, that's really cool. I've never been there.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah. So the fortress is, I think it's one of the largest ones in the Maritimes, and it all takes place in 1744, which is right before the English took it. So it's the French that had it in 1744, and then the English came in and took it. And it did exchange hands a lot throughout the years, which meant a lot of bloodshed, a lot of murders, a lot of nasty stuff has gone on in the history of this fortress.
It's rife for ghosts.
Exactly. It's a ripe plucking ground of ghosts. So the fortress saw many lives come and go, and it is thought to be one of the most haunted places in Canada, or at least the East Coast. Let's see. So what kind of spooks have others experienced? So I myself have not noticed any ghosts when I was there, but I had like a crush on this guy who was also reenacting there, so my mind was completely preoccupied. However,
yeah, you would not have noticed any ghosts.
Didn't notice any ghosts, even though they might have been floating right behind me. So some of the ghosts that people have seen while going through there, some tourists have seen, have been that they would think they were following a reenactor, so they'd be following, like, see a reenactor going forward, and they'd be dressed in the period costume, and they'd be following, through a tunnel or whatever, and then they'd pretty much disappear right in front of their eyes. Like, they'd be walking around, and then the person would just be gone.
I would just immediately pee my pants.
Oh, yeah.
I would just be like, oh, I'm going home. That's it. That's all for me. That's all for Chrissy. Bye.
I feel like if it happened to me, I would just not give up. Like, I would keep looking. I'd be like, well, they must have gone somewhere. And I would just kind of keep wandering around until I found a reenactor that looked kind of like that person and just assume that was them and they were just faster than me somehow.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like, I explain away everything that has ever happened to me. And some episode, maybe we'll get into our own stories. But another ghost that people see is just like, you know, soldiers being shot down or whatever in the tunnels or out in the fields. Like, they could kind of look out off the parapets or whatever and see soldiers out in the field. And when I was reenacting, like, I never saw any of the reenactors go outside the fortress like that, like out into the field surrounding. Like, I don't see a reason why anyone would do that. So there was a couple of searches I was doing online. Like, I was trying to get all kinds of research on what different people have seen. And some people said that they would see soldiers who died from smallpox or died in combat. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, how did they know they died of like, what does smallpox do to a person that they could look at them and be like, oh, that was Samuel. He died of smallpox. I recognize.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm going to Google image search this and probably regret this.
Okay. Are you doing it right now?
Yeah.
This might be an awful idea.
Ooh, yeah, you would be able to tell from a distance. Oh, Lord. Ooh, okay. Wowie zowie. Yep. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
All right.
Yep. No, you tell.
You tell. Okay, so it's very clear that Samuel died of smallpox.
Yes, or at least he was suffering from it a lot.
Suffering a lot from this smallpox. Okay. Okay, so there were rumors of a violent ghost or poltergeist that was in the bakery. So in the bakery, you can actually go up and buy loaves of fresh baked bread the way that they would have made it in 1744. And you can get a brown bag with like a loaf of bread, and it's delicious. You can like bring it home, put butter and brown sugar on it, and it's the kind of treat that they would have enjoyed back in 1744.
Oh, heck yeah.
So for some reason, there's an angry poltergeist there. Can't understand why. Because the bread.
I hate bread.
I know.
I've got a gluten intolerance.
Gluten intolerance, and I'm on keto. I can't handle this bread. I'm going to
get this out of my face.
Yeah. So this poltergeist apparently would actually cause some property damage and moved a 300-pound bread maker, according to some sources.
What?
Yeah.
That keto diet is working really well for him. Like, damn, getting that protein.
Exactly. So that's kind of terrifying. Like, I can't imagine walking out of a room and then walking back in and a 300-pound bread maker has moved and nobody else was around.
Again, and I cannot stress this enough, I would pee my pants and go home. Like, that would be it. That would be it for my career as a baker. Yeah. That would be it for my life in this fortress.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, Kate, no, I'm done. Bye.
Yeah, totally. Like, I feel like my stomach would do that thing where it just, like, plummets. You know, like,
yes.
Like, your heart just sinks down into your tum. Like, that would be brutal. So, another one was that they haven't reconstructed the hospital. And that is a bit farther out from where the rest of the construction is. And they say that there is a ghost of a nurse who wanders the hospital grounds and weeps.
Oh.
And I mean, I'm assuming that it's because she's out of work because they just didn't rebuild the hospital. And she's like, how am I going to, you know, pay for a living if I don't have this hospital? Like, she obviously doesn't know she's dead. So
I thought you were going to go into how there's like no doctors in Nova Scotia right now. Like,
that's probably like, the real. That makes way more sense. Than,
the state of healthcare in Nova Scotia in this current moment in time.
It's
bad.
It's bad.
It's not excellent.
Yeah. So there's a weeping nurse that is crawling the ground. Well, crawling. Well, maybe she's crawling. I don't know. Crawling the grounds of this.
Just ugly crying on all fours.
So also there's a crying child who is wailing around looking for his mother.
I wonder if it's the nurse.
I know, it's possible. Maybe we should try and go there and try and like get the two together, and maybe they'll both stop crying.
I'm picturing both of them on all fours, like just ugly crying. They'll point at each other like,
So yeah, there's a crying child, and they say that he's looking for his mother, and that he is often accompanied by gun and cannon fire and the dying screams of men in battle.
Oh, that's not funny.
No, it's really creepy. Like,
that's.
I mean, the idea of ghosts does scare me already, but when there's extra sounds that aren't coming from the ghost, I find that even more spooky.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, oh, this ghost comes in stereo. Cool.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, like
Nice.
kind of like it's a snapshot of the situation more so than just the ghost itself.
It makes me think of like when you go into like IMAX theaters and they show you like where all of the stereos are in the theater. Yeah. It's like there's ghosts here and here and here. It's just like I'm so fine with just the one. Thank you.
Just one is fine.
I only need one.
I don't need
really
this
only need
1.5 enhanced ghost. I don't need it.
Yeah. 5.1 Dolby surround sound.
Yeah, exactly. So different sources give variances on each of the stories, and some people say that there's like a crying woman above the bakery, or an old sea captain who helps keep people from falling downstairs. So like a helpful ghost.
Oh, nice. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm not sure like if any of these are true or whatever. However, there's a lot of different people saying a lot of different ghost stories, and there have been people going in with the EMF readers. Mm-hmm. So like looking and trying to listen and trying to communicate with the ghosts in there, and some people will even do like overnight stays at the fortress trying to communicate with whatever spirits remain.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I really want to get one of those, maybe. I don't know. I've not decided.
You might pee your pants.
I might pee my pants and go home.
Yeah. So that's the Fortress of Louisbourg. It's a really fun place to go. I can't wait to go back. I used to go once a year for school, and maybe next time I go, I'll actually see a ghost.
Yeah. So that's in Louisbourg in Cape Breton?
Yes.
My mouth is filling with saliva. Fun.
Because it's such
I'm
a
thinking
delicious
about that
location.
baked bread.
Oh yeah, no, that bread is real good. You can get I think it's like whole. I think there's a variety, but I always get the whole wheat. And then you can even like
dig
microwave
right
it with some butter and put like I said, brown sugar on it, and that's the kind of they wouldn't have microwaved it, but they'd have the warm bread with the butter and the
Ye old microwave.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like putting it on the sun on a black rock. As a microwave back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going camping in Cape Breton next week, so maybe I'll see about getting in there and checking that out.
Yeah, you could do a day trip there. Oh my gosh. If you do, let me know.
Yeah. So it's where it is.
Super worth it. It does. I think it costs like $12 or $14 or something to get in for a day pass. But I would totally, since you've never gone, I would totally go for a day. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too far from where we're staying.
Perfect.
We're staying in Margery Forks.
Oh, so. My parents have a house out there.
Oh, nice. Oh, very good. Good for them.
Yeah. Oh, small world. Okay.
Yeah. So, I have a personal ghost story. I actually have a few, but this is probably like the spookiest of all the ones I have. It's very intense. It was very intense for 14-year-old me who experienced it. So this was in 2015, March of 2015. My mom, my brother, and we were on a trip to England and Scotland. And of course, we ended up staying in like a lot of really old inns, and I can't remember the name of this inn, but it was from the 1500s, I'd say 1600s. Like, it was old. It had been modernized. Like, it had an elevator and lights and indoor plumbing and all the things that you need in
Yes.
the 21st century.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting at the table with our tour group. And at one point, like, it's a big round table and my mom is sitting directly across from me. Mm-hmm. And at one point, the tour guide comes in, whispers something to my mom. My mom goes white as a sheet, glances at me, and then immediately just puts her head down and starts eating. Like, doesn't say or do anything. So I'm like, well, that was weird.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, if she doesn't want to tell me, it's probably for the best. Like, my mom knows me pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she's making a call here. So we wrap up our supper and we all start making our way up to our rooms. And the elevator, when I'm in the elevator by myself, it does this weird thing. Like, the inn is only 4 floors. I'm staying on the 3rd floor. The elevator will stop on the 2nd floor, and then the doors will open and won't close, and I have to, like, it's like forcing me to get out and like use the stairs up to the 3rd floor. And it's like, well, that's weird. Like,
spooky elevators are
it's like, this elevator is probably like 100 years old. So I'm thinking like, it's just got like weird computer stuff. I'm sure everybody has had to deal with this since they got here. I had only shared the elevator with other people like once since we got there, so it wasn't a big deal. My mom and I are sharing a room. We get up to our room and turn on the television, get settled in, change into our PJs. And then my mom's like, oh, I'm going to go down and call Aunt Judy and let her know where we are and what our plan for the next couple of days will be. And do you want to come down with me or do you want to stay up here? I was like, I'm reading my manga and I'm already in my pajamas. Like, I'll just stay up here. It's fine. She's like, okay. She leaves. She goes down to the lobby. I'm laying there and the TV's going. All the lights are on. I'm completely relaxed. And I feel what feels like this cold hand just placed gently on my back between my shoulder blades. No. I'm wearing like this tank top that has like the back is open. And I'm like, that's not a great feeling. And I kind of like glance over and it's like, there's nothing there. And I'm like shifting around. Like, it's like this is really disconcerting. And I can't even focus on what I'm reading. So I end up just closing the book and like watching television, but I can't shake this feeling that something is about to happen. Like, if I stay in this room, something will happen that will just suck. It'll ruin my trip. Yeah. Like, it's like a door will slam, a window will like blow open. Something's going to happen. So I'm like, I gotta go find Mom. I gotta go be around people right now. Mm-hmm. So I leave the room and I'm walking down this long hallway and there's this like giant, super tall window at the end of the hallway that looks down into the courtyard. And I think there's like a pool down there. Mm-hmm. And as I'm walking down the hallway, I get this image of a man I'd never seen before, and he's old and he looks like he's been drowned. No. I get that in my head and I cannot get it out. Like, I'm trying to push this guy away and something is telling me to look out the window. No. And I'm like, I am not doing that. No. I'm not. It's like 10 o'clock at night. It's super dark outside. I was like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I'm not doing that. So, you know, I go to the elevator, I get in, it does the thing again where it goes down to the 2nd floor and then it forces me to get out and like use the stairs the rest of the way. And it's like, oh, whatever, it's fine. I go down, hang out with Mom. I don't tell her what's going on because I don't want to spook her. But, you know, like I start to feel better like once I'm around people and I come back up to the room with Mom. And it's fine. Yeah. The next day we're leaving the inn and I was like, okay, but I do have to tell her, because she could tell something was up. She could tell that I was off put by something.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, well, this is what happened. And I tell her, and again, she goes white as a sheet, and she's like, I gotta tell you what happened at supper time. Apparently, the daughter of the tour guide was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it's like a standard public bathroom where it has stalls and everything.
Yeah.
She's in there finishing up. She's washing her hands when she hears a toilet flush in one of the stalls.
Okay.
And one of the stall doors swings open. And she's like looking at it, waiting for somebody to like come out. She's waiting. She's like, and then the sink next to her, the faucet turns on.
No.
And at that point, she's like, nope. And she like runs out and finds her mom, tells her mom. And like, when I was, pre-teens, early teens, I had the deepest fear of ghosts.
Yeah.
Like, it was really bad. Like, there were many nights where I had to sleep with my mom, like, in her bed, because I couldn't sleep in my own bed. And so, like, my mom hearing that, she glances at me, because it's like, I can't let my phasmophobic daughter, like, know about this. Like, oh shit, what if she finds out? And I was asking other people about the elevator, and I was just like, it's really weird how it just kept stopping on the second floor and wouldn't go anywhere after that. And everybody was like, what? No, I didn't have any problems.
Oh my God.
What are you talking about? And apparently there's this boy who was staying, he's like the only person in the group who was staying by himself in his own room.
Yeah.
And he was up on the 4th floor, and this inn was so old that it had actual like lock and keys, like old style lock and keys for the doors. So he's going to bed and he locks the door. He double checks it because he's by himself. He doesn't want anybody to break in and do anything. So he's like super careful. He goes to bed. He wakes up like middle of the night. He doesn't know what time it was, but he wakes up in the middle of the night and his door is wide open.
Nope.
No. Yeah. So like this,
oh my God.
this inn is something else. Like,
oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
But like, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really fun experience, and I'm glad to have experienced it. I don't know what that ghost, like, I got the impression that ghost wanted me to solve something, and I was like, I'm 14, I can't. Like, I want to solve
a ding dang thing.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I just want to go back to Canada at this point. I'm tired.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, at the very beginning of the story, you said it was 2015. Did you mean 2005?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, because I was like,
I'm a wee baby.
Yeah,
I'm a teeny tiny baby.
2005.
That's all.
Okay.
2005, yes.
Holy moly.
March of 2005.
That sounds like such a fun time, but I can imagine it being really scary to be in that situation.
Yeah,
it's
it was
like fun to tell about later.
Yeah, and like to this day, like I still get that feeling of, what the hell was going on? Like, what was this? Like,
totally.
Yeah, but like I think that's probably like the most intense paranormal experience I've ever had.
Yeah, that is very intense. I don't think I would have. I'm stuck on whether I would have kept taking the elevator or just opted just for the stairs, because being scared in an elevator is terrifying. Being scared in a staircase is also terrifying, because it's like, I don't know, you could fall down the stairs, you could get pushed down the stairs, but like if you're in an elevator, the elevator could plummet, you could be trapped in there with whatever it is. Like, what is the better option?
Definitely the stairs were less scary, because like they weren't very steep. Like they had like these big staircases that were like wide open, and like you know, there's people coming and going on them, so it's like in general the staircases were just less scary. But I was like a chubby little 14-year-old, so I was like, I don't wanna, like, I want to use the elevator even though they're definitely haunted. Like,
oh, that's so funny.
I remember there being this like gold plaque in the elevator that was just like, oh, here's the weight limit for this, and when I was having this experience, I couldn't even look at the reflection in that gold plaque because I was like, I know there's going to be something behind me. I just know it. Like,
can I tell you a little story about reflections?
Yes,
it's not really supernatural, but I'll just get into it. So I used to be a housekeeper at a hospital, and one of my jobs was cleaning the morgue on back shift. I didn't get this shift often because I was casual, but once in a while I would have back shift and I would have to clean the morgue. So when you come into the morgue, it's like a small room with doors. One of them is the door for the freezer, one of them is the door for procedures, and one of them is an office door. And my job was to go in, make sure the floor was clean, to empty the garbage. I didn't have to go in the freezer, thank goodness. So I would go in, and if you looked to your left upon entering the morgue, there was the freezer door. And if the light was on in the freezer, that meant that there was a body inside. And if the light was off and you looked at the morgue door, you would see your reflection in the morgue. Like, you would see your reflection in the freezer. So it would just kind of look like you're placing yourself in the freezer where the dead bodies are stored. And I remember not knowing if I wanted the light to be on or off because I didn't want there to be a body in there. And I also did not want to see myself in the freezer.
Yeah, seriously.
So, it was so creepy. So to be like, 1 a.m. and I'd have to go in there and I'm tired and I'm like, I hated cleaning that place. It was awful.
Yeah. And like, I have startled myself with my own reflection from full-length mirrors so many times in my life.
Me too. Yeah, but, I hate mirrors and I hate windows and I hate that stuff.
Yeah, for a really long time I couldn't look out windows at night.
No, I still can't.
I avoid it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like, if it's been such a long day and like it's summer, so like it's dark really late at night, and so it's like, I already know I'm not supposed to be awake this late. Like,
there's that point when just everything's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is it.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We didn't think this far ahead as to what we're gonna say as a sign off.
Well, I mean, this has been episode 1. Thank you so much for joining in. We hope that you will join us for episode 2. That should be coming out in just a couple weeks. I think we decided on every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
if you have any stories that you would like to share with us, please write in to maritimesupernatural@gmail.com.
It's all one word. There's no punctuation except where you would expect it.
Yep. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, we have social media as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We
do. You can find us on Twitter and on Instagram as at MSN Podcast. And yeah, if you guys want more ways to get in contact with us, just let us know. If you want a Facebook page, we may be setting up a Patreon at some point in the future if that is something that you guys want to do. And yeah, we can't wait to share more stories with you.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya. I love you. Rip in peace.